Welcome back to another episode of Around the Globe. I'm your host, Courtney Andrews.
And I'm Ashley Jovine. Today we will be focusing on the country where lovers go to love and where poets find inspiration.
You guessed it, it's a country of culture and cuisine,
France! First, we will give you a rundown on the history of France and what's their current standing in the world. From there, we're going to tell you about some of the best places that we've been to and what cities people will enjoy the most, from the beauty of the architecture to fulfilling your appetite.
After we cover the most typical sightseeing parts, we will give you some insider tips on things that not every tourist gets to appreciate.
Last but not least, I went to the campus of SUNY Plattsburgh and interviewed some students on their knowledge of France.
Coming up after the break, we'll hop right into our history segment, so don't touch that remote. Around the Globe, we'll be right back. Welcome back. It's now time for a quick history lesson about France. So we're going to get right into our next segment, French Flashback.
France has had a monarchy going as far back to the year 481. King Clovis I was the first ever king of France. The monarchy in France lasted until 1789. Thanks to the people of France who were inspired by the American Revolution to spark their own rebellion, thus creating their Independence Day, which is also known as the Bastille Day. This ended the last king's tyranny, Louis XIV. The famous Queen Marie Antoinette was also publicly executed shortly after her husband.
Moving on to one of the most prominent and famous names in French history, Napoleon Bonaparte. He was known for being one of the most powerful war minds in history. He rose to power during the French Revolution and was able to reform a lot of the French government. He had amassed the largest army Europe had ever seen at the time and lost very few battles. He eventually met his demise in 1821, but he will always be remembered by the French people and the rest of the world.
Now on to what's currently happening in France. The country is a democracy with the current president, François Hollande. Today, France is one of the few countries that has nuclear weapons, and it is considered one of the strongest components within the UN. Also, France has one of the best medical care systems in the entire world. A new president will be elected in April 2017.
Now that you're acquainted with some of the history of this great nation, after the break, we'll get into some local flair and explore some amazing cities. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Around the Globe.
Now we get to finally explore France.
The first city on our list is the capital, the city of lovers and lights, Paris. Here are some of the best places a tourist should see when visiting Paris. Starting off with the iconic Eiffel Tower, it stands in the heart of Paris in the 7th arrondissement. It was built in 1889 for the World's Fair. It has 3 stories to it, including a gourmet restaurant at the top floor. At the top of the tower, you can see the entirety of Paris.
Our next attraction is a beautiful street called Champs-Élysées. It is one of the longest avenues in Paris, and it has all of the top-of-the-line clothing stores and boutiques on either side of the street, where anyone who is anyone goes to shop. At the end of the Champs-Élysées stands a massive monument, the Arc de Triomphe, built in 1806, but today it celebrates the end of World War II. You can go to the top and see how far the Champs-Élysées stretches and the surrounding area. In the centre is the Arc of an Eternal Flame, commemorating all of the unknown fallen soldiers during the war.
If you're in the mood for artwork, the Louvre is the place for you. It holds more than 70,000 pieces of art that will take anyone weeks to look at every single piece. By far the most famous piece of art in the whole museum is the Mona Lisa, painted by Leonardo da Vinci in 1503. But don't let the Mona Lisa distract you from the other equally beautiful pieces of the art in the building.
Standing tall next to the city's river, the Seine, is Notre Dame, one of the oldest and most famous churches in the world. It was built in 1163, and people still go to the church to pray, but it is now mainly a tourist attraction. You can go to the top of the church, but be aware of the deafening bells that echo throughout the city. But it is well worth the climb of 387 steps with a view that rivals the Eiffel Tower.
Being in Paris, you definitely don't want to miss out the fantastic dining options. You can go to a little restaurant which is called Brasserie. A good option would be the Brasserie Beaufinger, which takes you back to old Paris during its golden years. The interior is made out of the old mirrors on the walls and old decorations from the era of the New Baroque. The food, decorations, and service is very traditional. The best part is it isn't even very expensive, and it's definitely worth a visit.
Everyone has their own personal favourite boulangerie, where you can get an assortment of breaded cuisine from baguettes to eclairs to croissants or even cake. And for people with more of a sweet tooth, you should definitely try the pastries, which focus more on sugary tastes like the famous French macaroons, which is made out of almond flowers.
Okay, that's enough of the tourist attractions. Let's get into some insider tips. So unfortunately, Parisians aren't the friendliest people towards tourists, so it is better to keep your distance rather than trying to talk one up. Also, when entering shops, it's best to say bonjour monsieur or bonjour madame. Don't forget to always make a genuine effort to speak French. This will almost always get you better treatment than trying to start a conversation in English.
The easiest and usually the fastest way around the city is using the metro. The maps are very easy to understand. Also, always buy a car net. This is a set of 10 metro tickets. This is often the best value choice for travellers. Another tip to know is Parisians eat dinner notoriously late. Usually, restaurants won't open until around 8 p.m.
The last thing on our list to visit in Paris is the catacombs. Over 6 million human bones and skulls line the walls of the ancient underground tunnel that span the entirety of the city. Located south of the former city gate, Barrière d'Enfer, or in English, the Gate of Hell. This is one of the creepiest yet most fascinating tours in the world. It's definitely something you'll never forget. Next, we'll be covering another city in France, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Around the Globe. The second city we'll be covering today is known for its famous red wine. It is the port city, Bordeaux. The city lies in southwestern France, and within the city it has a wide range of different attractions that you might want to check out. Starting with the Place des Bourses, which is one of the most recognisable sites of the city and where hundreds come together every day. The place was built over time from 1730 to 1775. The surrounding building is enormous and definitely worth visiting.
Another great monument of the city is the Roman Catholic Cathedral, also known as Saint-André, which was built in the Gothic era and was designed by Pope Urban II in 1096. Unfortunately, only a small portion wall remains from the original structure, but the building is now known as a National Monument of France.
Last but not least is the Musée des Beaux, but in English it's Art of Bordeaux. It's one of the most famous known museums throughout France and is one of the largest art galleries of France, outside of Paris. It was established in 1801 and in it are several known artists, and it mainly consists of paintings, sculptures and drawings.
A restaurant choice you should definitely consider is Le Bouchon Bordelais. The restaurant is right on the sea and serves its fish that was caught the same day, so it's dinner and a view. It is definitely one of the best seafood restaurants in the whole city, which means one of the best in the country.
And now here are some of the insider tips on the city. You can spend the entire afternoon with a small group wine tasting in the Bordeaux countryside in one of the most famous wine regions, Saint-Emilion or Medoc. On this 5.5-hour tour, stop at 2 beautiful chateaux to sample the local wines, nibble on French cheese and cured meats with fresh bread, all while you sip on the delicious wine. To finish up your tour, you'll learn up some of the wine tasting tips from an expert. It's well worth the money if you're in the area.
Just like any other old town, Bordeaux is best discovered by randomly roaming through the narrow streets. One street in particular is Rue Saint-James. It has some great shops and cafes. For example, books and coffee with a wide selection of a lunch cuisine. Another hidden gem on this street is a ceramicist shop called Ante de Tellier, which you can watch as professionals handcraft bowls, plates, and other assortments. Watching them at work is one of the most magical things you will see in this old city.
So, have you been to France before?
I have, and I visited Champs-Élysées, and it was so great. I saw a lot of people shopping and a lot of shopping malls, and it was like really fun. Did you ever go to France?
I've been once, and it was when I was really little. I only actually went to, well, from memory, I've only really been to Disneyland Paris, because it's only like a ferry ride away from England, so it's kind of close. But if you guys at home have already been to France, then you should definitely tell us about your experience and use the hashtag #AroundTheGlobe on Facebook or Twitter, and if you have Instagram, then use the same hashtag to have your picture featured on our page.
Coming up after the break, join me as I ask questions to college students to see how much they know about France. Candy is also involved, so don't go away, we'll be right back. Bonjour tout le monde. I'm Ashley, and right now I'm at SUNY Plattsburgh in the Angel College Center. I will be going around asking questions about France, and whoever answers the questions correctly win candy. Let's go see how they do. All right, are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so the first question is, what year was the French Revolution?
1867.
Oh boy. I feel like that was in 1800s.
I'm not sure. 18, 16.
Kind of close?
No. Do you want? Okay, it was actually 1789.
Okay.
All right, the next question is, what is ratatouille?
Beans.
No. No.
I know it's a dish, like a food dish, but I don't really exactly know what it is. Does it involves probably some really good cheeses, I'm guessing, right?
It's a vegetable dish with squash. I don't know if there's pepperoni in it, but there's a lot of squash and vegetables.
Yeah, that sounds great. You win a candy. What year did the national soccer team in France win the World Cup?
1998.
Wow. You're so right.
Yay.
98?
Wow, yeah, you did a good job.
all right,
Yeah, that's
cool.
another candy. The next question is, what river runs through Paris?
Oh, geography.
I don't know.
The set.
Yes, you're doing great. You win another candy. Wow, there's a lot of candy left, but that's okay because I think I'm gonna eat some. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you want to watch more behind the scenes, definitely check us out on YouTube. Au revoir.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. We really hope you enjoyed and learned something new about this magnificent country.
Don't forget to use the hashtag Around the Globe on our Facebook and Twitter to decide the next country we discuss. We'll see you next time on Around the Globe.
Until next time.
Au revoir.